I greet each of you, who carry in your eyes the deep marks of many springs, and in your soul the scars of silent battles. Seated by the flickering candlelight centuries ago, I refuse to remain confined to the silence imposed by society, the very silence you're often forced to swallow through condescending glances and whispered words. I know the weight of that prejudice, for I endured nights when London's biting wind seemed to whisper that my intellectual ambitions were nothing but arrogance. Yet I learned that true freedom is born the moment we understand. No boundary can outweigh the power to decide, to think, and to exist for ourselves. Perhaps for many of you the word self-esteem sounds hollow or even pretentious. After all, how often were you taught to silence your desires and downplay your achievements? How many echoes of insecurity have reverberated inside you, reminding you that a mature woman should be discreet? Today I assert with all conviction, self-esteem is not a luxury reserved for youth, nor a whim of an inflated ego. It is the solid recognition that you are worthy of respect, of attention, and above all, of loving the story you have written. Imagine, for a moment, the fog-laden streets of a bygone century, gas lamps casting pale light on cold cobblestones while, in modest rooms, I scrawled thoughts that would shock bankers and statesmen alike. On those yellowed pages I planted seeds of resistance, ideas that would germinate across generations, rekindling the flame of women who, like you, carry a tapestry of victories and losses, dreams and disappointments. These seeds blossomed into powerful principles, capable of reclaiming dignity, even in the most wearied heart. Before we delve into the heart of these teachings, I invite you to a brief exercise in memory. Recall a moment when you felt underestimated, a round table where your arguments were ignored, a long-cherished project that cost you smiles and drew criticism. Allow yourself to feel the weight of that moment once more, but now sift through it with curiosity rather than pain. It is from that raw material we will forge the foundation of renewed self-esteem. Know that to reclaim our inner strength, we need not shout at the top of our lungs. Our voice, however soft, finds power in daily choices. Each act, picking up a forgotten book, voicing a bold idea, declining an invitation that crushes the heart, is an act of rebellion against the shadow that seeks to imprison us. Recognize, then, that you hold the most powerful tool in your hands, dominion over your own thoughts. In the words that follow, I will reveal 4 foundational principles that once lit my path and can illuminate yours today. Born of a woman's unwavering resolve never to silence her own conviction, they await those willing to face their shadows, question old habits, and reignite the spark of self-confidence. Stay with me until the end. The journey to rebuild the inner temple begins now, and it is never too late to rekindle your own voice. Let us begin with the first principle: reason is your anchor. In a world where emotion often dictates the value of a woman, whether she's too tender, too fierce, too cold, or too dramatic, reason remains the one realm where judgment cannot be tainted by the expectations of others. You have been told, subtly or boldly, to feel your way through life. But I urge you now to think, to pause and ask, is this belief mine, or was it quietly placed upon me? When you anchor yourself in reason, you no longer drift with every tide of doubt. Instead, you begin to chart your own course. It is not unladylike to question. It is not unfeminine to resist. And it is not shameful to demand logic where only assumptions were given. There is dignity in clarity. There is power in your mind that remains untouched by time or sorrow. Reason, once claimed, cannot be taken from you. It will protect you from those who aim to manipulate your emotions, and it will shield you from the voice inside that still echoes old lies. Ask yourself, how many times have you dimmed your light to make others more comfortable? How often have you accepted apologies for pain that should never have been inflicted in the first place? Reason teaches you that kindness is not submission, and forgiveness is not erasure. You are allowed to hold others accountable without losing your grace. You are allowed to walk away and not explain. Now we move to the second principle: virtue is not obedience. For too long, virtue has been packaged in silence, in modesty, and shrinking away. But what if I told you that true virtue lies in courage? That it lives in the decision to stand upright, even when trembling inside? To be virtuous is not to be soft-spoken at all costs. It is to act with integrity, even when it goes against tradition. It is to care deeply without being consumed. It is to love yourself enough not to disappear in the shadow of another's comfort. You may have been praised for being selfless, as if vanishing is a form of beauty, but there is no medal for abandoning your soul. You were not born to serve until your spirit is threadbare. Virtue does not demand that you give until empty. It asks that you honor the sacred within yourself just as much as you honor it in others. A woman who respects herself teaches the world how she must be treated, and she does not ask for permission to be whole. The third principle, education is liberation. And I do not speak solely of formal schools or gilded certificates. I speak of the education that happens in quiet corners, the articles you read when the house is asleep, the conversations that stir your soul, the books you return to time and again. Every idea you consume is a key. Every new word, every learned concept, unlocks a part of yourself you didn't know was imprisoned. No matter your age, your mind is a garden still fertile. Feed it, tend it, speak to it with respect. Learn not because someone demands it, but because wisdom is your inheritance. When you educate yourself, you claim your place in the world not as someone waiting to be told, but as someone who understands, who sees beyond illusion. It becomes harder to deceive you, harder to control you, and far harder to make you feel small. Some will say, but you're already wise from life. Yes, and yet the well of knowledge has no bottom. Continue dipping from it. Find the names for what you have lived. Discover the frameworks that describe the storms you've weathered. Read not only to know the world, but to know yourself better. And finally, the fourth principle, independence is sacred. Not the kind that scoffs at companionship, but the kind that whispers, I can stand on my own, and that is a miracle. Whether you are in love, alone, surrounded by family, or estranged from them, your independence is not a threat, it is a treasure. It means your joy is not contingent on approval. Your peace is not rented from others. True independence begins when you no longer seek to be completed. You are not a half waiting. You are already complete, and anyone who joins you should do so not to fix, but to walk beside. Independence teaches you to make your own decisions, to delight in solitude, to manage your time as a sovereign being. It is the deep, quiet knowing that you will not be broken by rejection, that you are not lost just because someone else walks away. Even now, perhaps you carry wounds from those who feared your independence. They may have tried to tame it, shame it, call it cold. But do not be fooled. It is not arrogance to know your worth. It is not selfish to want space to breathe. It is not rude to say no when yes would betray you. These four principles, reason, virtue, education, and independence, are not merely abstract thoughts. They are practices. They are habits. They are daily choices made in silence and solitude, often without applause. But they build something indestructible. They build you. So I ask you now, which of these principles has been calling to you most? Which one have you been denying out of fear, or habit, or duty? Sit with the discomfort of that question. Let it settle in your bones. The answers may be uncomfortable, but they will also be honest. And from honesty grows transformation. Do not wait for the world to validate your strength. Do not wait for someone to give you permission to rise. These are not things granted from outside. They begin within. And they begin today. Let this be the chapter where you return to yourself. Not to a past version shaped by survival, but to the one waiting in stillness, wise, brave, radiant, and ready. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are right on time. As we stand at the threshold of all that we've explored, let us pause, just for a moment, to reflect on what has been revealed. It is tempting, I know, to slip back into old habits, into the comfortable roles that others have imposed on us, into the patterns that keep us safe from the storm of change. But I ask you now to resist that temptation. Let this be the moment when you choose to break free, to shatter the illusions that have kept you small. The four principles we've discussed, reason, virtue, education, and independence, are not just ideals to contemplate. They are not mere suggestions to ponder in the quiet of the evening and then let fade away. These principles are seeds. They are invitations given to you to plant within your heart and nurture until they grow tall and unshakable. They require your effort, your courage, your vulnerability. And as we delve deeper into these principles, it's crucial to acknowledge something important. You are worthy of all this power. For far too long, society has taught us to shrink, to dim our light, to be small for the sake of others. But the truth is, your power is not something to hide. It is something to honor. It is not something to apologize for. It is something to wield with pride. You have every right to take up space. When you look into the mirror, do not see the age lines, the scars, or the remnants of battles fought. See the strength that remains. See the wisdom that has been earned through every heartache, every challenge, every triumph. Your body is not something to be ashamed of, your experiences are not burdens to carry, and your mind is not to be ignored. You are a force, and when you choose to rise into that truth, the world shifts. For those who have tried to pull you back, who have tried to make you feel less than, let their voices fade into silence. You do not need their approval. You do not need their validation. What you need is to look inward and know that you have always been enough. You are enough because you choose to honor your mind, your soul, and your heart. You are enough because you are willing to stand in your truth, even when it feels uncomfortable. Remember, you were not born to blend in. You were born to stand out. You were born to live unapologetically, to create your own path, and to walk that path with your head held high. There is no shame in being yourself. There is no shame in demanding respect. And there is no shame in choosing to walk away from the things that no longer serve you, the people who diminish your light, or the habits that keep you stuck. When you embrace these principles, something incredible happens. You begin to understand that the life you desire is not outside of you, it has always been within. It is not something that must be sought or earned through external validation. It is yours by birthright. It is the life that waits for you to claim it. But to claim it, you must be willing to let go of the old stories. You must be willing to let go of the things that no longer serve your growth. The people who have held you back, the beliefs that have kept you in fear, the circumstances that have made you feel unworthy, you must be willing to release them. It is time to break free from the chains of the past, to shed the skin of the person you once were, and to emerge as the woman you were always meant to be. And yes, the process may be uncomfortable. The journey may require you to confront parts of yourself that you'd rather avoid. But I promise you, on the other side of that discomfort lies your true power. On the other side of that fear lies your freedom. And on the other side of that uncertainty lies the woman you have always been destined to become. There is a beauty in this process. There is a strength that arises when you choose to be both tender and fierce. When you choose to honor your heart and your mind, your body and your soul. When you choose to walk alone, if necessary, until you find the people and the circumstances that will help you grow even further. There is a sacredness in embracing who you are, in all of your complexity, and saying, I am worthy, I am enough, and I will not apologize for my presence. So, what will you do with all of this newfound strength? Will you allow it to change the way you move through the world? Will you let it change the way you relate to others, the way you speak to yourself, and the way you show up for your life? The choice is yours. You have always had the power to choose. You have always had the ability to create the life you desire. It is not the world that defines you. It is not the people around you who shape your destiny. It is you, and only you, who has the final say in your life. And with each decision you make, you are either stepping closer to or further away from the woman you are meant to be. But remember this, you have nothing to prove. You are not required to chase anyone's approval, nor do you need to conform to society's narrow ideas of what a woman should be. You are already perfect, already powerful, and already worthy. Your only job is to remember that. As you go forward, ask yourself, what is my next step? How will I honor my mind, my body, and my spirit today? How will I take back my power and live unapologetically? These are the questions that will guide you, that will shape your journey. And I can tell you this with certainty, you will never again have to shrink to fit into a mold that was never meant for you. You were not born to be small. You were born to take up space. You were born to shine. And no one, no force, no time, can take that from you. So rise. Rise into your truth, rise into your strength, and rise into the woman you have always been meant to become. This is your moment. This is your time.